Cool. Right, we're going to crack on, guys. So thank you and welcome to this webinar. If you don't already know me, my name is James Boardman. So I'm a former Royal Marine Commando, and I've been helping men. Probably, if my journey starts working with men, it would have started all the way back in 2008 when I started working with Royal Marines as a PTI. And my job back then was to help Royal Marine recruits go from day zero to the very end of training after 7 months to mentally, emotionally, and physically prepare those individuals ready for service and deployment. Okay, so I had to make sure they were physically ready, mentally ready, and emotionally ready. From there, I left the military and joined a local college. And at that local college, I helped 16 to 19-year-olds kind of get through life, learn what they were supposed to do in terms of sports, outdoor pursuits, and public services, and then get them on their way for finding a job. I didn't like that job. It was a dead-end job for me. I really didn't enjoy it. It was actually one of the most miserable times of my life. So I apologize if you're a teacher, but I don't know how you do it, and I have amazing amounts of credit for you. But my journey took a massive U-turn at the college when I dived into entrepreneurship and built up my very first business. And that very first business went really, really well. And then I decided that I wanted to help guys who were struggling to get through life, okay, struggling to get on with life, lead themselves, understand themselves. And that was off the back of my own experience of having left the military. So when I left the military for 3 years, I hugely struggled to find my place in the world. In the Marines, I was Sergeant James Boardman. I had my place, I had my role, I had my drive, my energy. I was well respected, and I left, and I just didn't know where I fitted in the world. And that journey lasted about 3 years. Cost me my marriage. It nearly cost me my own life when I decided that that was it, and I was going to take it, and I had enough. But managed just to get out of that situation through realizing that I was a dad, and I had at the time 2 children to bring up. So that experience really for me was very powerful in terms of creating the guy I am today. And that 3 years is always my alternative, right? So if I don't show up, my 1% goes in the wrong direction, and I start spiraling towards that human being again, being lost, lack of direction, etc. Okay, so I'm coming to you off the back of a large amount of experience in terms of working with guys, understanding guys, knowing what their problems are, knowing where their mindset is at, knowing and understanding where they're coming from in terms of their own excuses, their own victim states, their own mentality. You know, we've had over 10,000 guys come through our 5-day challenge. I must have trained nearly over 3,000 Royal Marine recruits over a 4-year period when I was a PTI. I've had multiple conversations with guys in terms about where they are. So hopefully what I can give you now is, in a very limited time that we have to do this, is a, if you like, summary of where I think we should be going and the direction I think you should be going, so that you can start leading yourself as a guy a lot better, so that you can lead yourself to lead other people around you, right? So I'm going to go through this with you. I'm going to look at some of the problems we're facing. We're going to look at the 4 action points, the person that we're trying to be, how we can build this up to the mental resilience. And then for those that are not already part of our program, we have like something for you guys in particular that's only specific for guys that are not already working with me, should you want to take this further and improve yourself. All right, so that's me. That's a bit of my background. And now I just kind of want to give you a little bit of perspective about 2023. So 2023, okay, nothing miraculously is going to happen when we hit the first quarter of 2023. And I think there is an awful lot of romance. There's an awful lot of unrealistic expectations when we go into a new year. And I think too many people get too hyped and they say they're going to do all of this and all of that. And it's a magical time with Christmas, but we go into that new year and then all of a sudden, right, within 2 or 3 weeks, we've let ourselves down again, or we haven't achieved what we wanted to achieve. So one of the first things that I really want to set in terms of the tone is, let's forget that it's a new year. Let's not get into this new year hype mentality. Let's just look at this as a brand new quarter and a great opportunity to do something for yourself, right? No different from going from the second quarter to the third quarter, because actually all of the hardship that is out there in terms of the cost of living, or the other stuff that's going on, all the other things that we're having to deal with, is not going to disappear. Even when that has sorted itself out and the dust has settled, there's going to be something else. So there's continuous hardship, right, in the world. The thing that can change, though, is the way that you process all of that in here. So mentally, physically, emotionally, the way that we absorb and control our emotions and ourselves and our decision making, moving into or throughout your life, whether it's a new year or not, should never change. And that's something that I really try to implement with my own clients that are in our Elite Brotherhood, those that are on our Elite 28-day program, Elite 90 program. It doesn't matter about what's going on out there. What matters is how we control ourselves and manage ourselves. Most importantly, lead ourselves. Because when we are the leaders of ourselves, something really great happens. We start leading those people that matter most to us better. So we start showing up better. We start having more connection with our wives, more connection with our kids. We're more aware when we're on our phone. Your health suddenly escalates because you're leading it. It's a priority. And then your career or your business, whichever one you're in, can then be led better with boundaries. Okay. And then you're not always working. You're not always being distracted because you're in control of your mind and your emotions. Now, I'm going to kind of teach you the very surface part of that. Okay. In terms of awareness, there's an awful lot of work to do underneath that. Okay. As a lot of my clients will tell you, there's a lot of work. There's a lot of ups and there's a lot of downs. Okay, so I just really wanted to put that into perspective. So there's a couple of things that I think you need to change. There's two main ones. There's a want. You've got to want to change. Like, I will always meet every man halfway, and you have to come and meet me halfway. Okay. My two rules are always show up, move 1% every single day forever, and always show up and do the work and meet us halfway. If you can meet us halfway with everything, the mentality, with the work, with the modules, with the structure that we have, man, you're going to do something with your life, right? You're not going to sit there and just contemplate what's not happening, why you're not moving forwards, okay? And that is what's really, really important. And you have to have that reason. There has to be an emotional connection to wanting to change. So if you're sitting there right now, about to go, and you're one of these things that I'm going to go through in a minute, that's your vehicle. That is the way that maybe you're living your life. Now, I'm not saying you're going to be all of these things, but you might be one or two of these things. And these are drastically affecting the way that you show up and leading yourself. It's stopping you become what we call in our world, the elite operator. So let's have a couple of these things. When I read them out here, if you recognize yourself in any of these, I want you to tell me what traits you recognize, okay? And this is your first opportunity to engage and be honest with yourself. Because if I go through these and you say you're none of them, you're in the wrong place and you shouldn't be here, okay? So emotional distractions. This is where most of you or some of you are right now. So first one is misplacing your priorities. So too many guys are misplacing their priorities. How many times have you said you don't have time to work out, or you don't have time to play with the kids, or you're too busy with work? Okay, it's a misplaced priority. Poor emotional control. Okay, poor emotional control. The problem with that is that we get so annoyed, we snap so quickly, okay, that we don't have any control about what's going on around us. All right. The BS excuses, like, lads are full of excuses. Oh, it's raining. Oh, it's dark. Oh, it's cold. Oh, I don't have time. Oh, I'm really busy with work. Oh, I'm trying to earn an income. Like, it's crap, right? It's rubbish. Like, the excuses that you throw out over and over and over again to justify why you're not showing up. Everything is a problem. So anything that comes into our way, when we lead ourselves, when we have more control, it's just a life. When we realize it, life is about just problem solving. problem solving, problem solving, problem solving. And then when we're not in that right frame of mind, everything becomes a problem. And when everything becomes a problem, it's like throwing everything into the backpack. And the more that that's getting thrown in, the heavier it's getting, the more it's weighing you down, right? So we've got to be able to go, right, that's not really an issue, or that's out of my control, or that's easily dealt with, okay? And a lack of perspective, not putting perspective on a situation, on a problem, just going emotionally straight in, throwing yourself in, throwing your toys out the pram, and then feeling sorry for yourself afterwards. Okay, personal distractions. Your belief, excuse me, your belief system is corrupt, okay? So you don't believe you're good enough. You don't believe you can achieve something. And then that leads to just not showing up because of fear of failure or fear of rejection. Next one is a weak mentality. Now, don't take that to heart, because many of you have weak bodies because you don't train, right? If you don't train, you have a weak body. If you don't condition your mind, you have a weak mindset. And it's not a bad thing, guys. It's just where you are. Sorry, guys, I'm just trying to set up some software here. We've got to be able to make that weak mentality a strong mentality. And that's what we're going to talk about here and how to do that, all right? Expectations. Now, expectations are good. Having ambition is good. But one of the biggest things that I have noticed hugely, massively over the period of time I've been working with guys is that when they show up and they don't achieve what they wanted to achieve, usually the outcome is that their expectations are way up here, but we're here at this level. So there is this huge deficit between what we can achieve and what our expectations are. Bang, this is a massive difference, right? It's like me going into a gym as a white belt on day one, looking at the black belt of jiu-jitsu saying, I'm going to choke him out. It's unrealistic, right? Or having lift weights for years, going into a gym saying, I'm going to lift 200 kilograms because I did it 10 years ago. It's unrealistic. There's a fine line between being ambitious, driven, and passionate and setting your expectations way out of your level conditioning. And that is ego. Low standards. Too many of you have low standards. You don't set the bar high enough. Okay, when we have high standards, we have high results. Okay. Lying to yourself, classic. Lying, constantly lying. Maybe having a drink and saying it's going to be all right. Constantly saying everything's working out fine. Constantly saying you're going to get round to it. These lies to yourself, if you lie to yourself, how will you ever progress forwards? Okay. Not showing up, okay, is a standard. And then tolerating, okay, tolerating the life that you have. All right, that's a big one. Tolerating the life that you have, tolerating that this is it. This is as good as it gets for you. And that's a painful one to take. You know, one of the big things I like to talk about a lot is how much BS you tolerate. Okay, how much BS you tolerate. So I'm not saying that everybody is every one of these. Maybe you are, right? Some guys are. But I reckon that each one of you, there's about 3 or 4 in there, okay? And I hope they are, because that's what you're here for, right? Is to learn how to move away from this and move towards this dude, okay? So this dude here is the elite operator. So everyone that I work with in any program, whether it's our elite at 28, our elite 90, our elite brotherhood, my elite squad, which is our high program, whether it's with my one-on-ones or my business owners, this is the mentality that we're trying to get into. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 key characteristics to making this guy possible, creating this guy. These are the ingredients. So number 1, we have to have a mission and a vision. Now, a mission and a vision can go from anywhere between having a week's goals to follow to 10 years. Okay, and depending on what your mission or vision is, or whether it's short, mid, or long term, depends on where you are in that journey. So one of the things we've learned over the last 16 months is that somebody who comes into our world right away is not ready to create a 10-year vision, but they are ready to make weekly plans. When they can show me they can plan weekly, we can then go, let's plan in a 28-day period. When you're used to planning in a 28-day period, we can then plan a quarter. okay, and so on. So we're taking that mentality, we're making it stronger, we're conditioning it by doing the reps over and over and over again, okay? So we're making it more about the immediate presence, embedding it, and then taking it further down the line to see how far you can start planning and visualize. Okay, 4 C's, okay? It's no longer the 3 C's, it's the 4 C's. So I'm going to go over this in a minute with you in a little bit more detail, but just in summary right now, it's consistency of action, it's control, okay, of your time, energy, and focus, it's clarity of where you're going and how you're getting there, and the last C is commitment to the cause, commitment to achieving the outcome. Then there is the emotional connection to showing up. Then there is the SRS, which is structure, routine, and systems. And then there is resilience, okay? Resolve and resilience, okay? Which we'll go through in a minute. So this is who we are. This is where we're trying to go to. Does that make sense with everyone so far? We recognize the attributes that are here. Obviously, all of these things end up affecting your your connections with people that matter the most, okay? They affect your mental and emotional health, the burnout in terms of career, and you end up just stop showing up, right? So this is where we are. This is who we want to be. Right here in the middle are what I would consider 4 action pillar points to build ourselves up, right? And that's what we're going to go through right now. So the first thing that we have to build before we build anything is we have to build you. And for me, there are 3 key standout points that must be met to make sure that you are building yourself, okay? Now, obviously on this webinar, I'm just gonna really touch the surface on this. When I look at our programs, our first program, which is the Elite 28, is all about the resurrection. So wherever you are here right now, the first thing that we have to start looking at is how can I start making sure that I'm functioning as a leader in my life? And the first thing I would say is don't try to change everything all at once. That's what guys do. When they realize they want change, they want it all right away. I want it now. This is where I want to be. This is how I'm going to get there, right? And the problem is that when you try to rush a process of change, the problem is that you become overwhelmed. It becomes too much. You feel like you're failing. And then you end up stopping the process. So I'm looking for small, micro, manageable development points and milestones, okay? Everyone that comes on the Elite 28 is like, man, I'm ready to go. Tear the shirt off, Hulk smash, I'm ready to go all in. And the problem that I have to tame those guys because we have to get a basic level of showing up. So the first thing is structure, routine, and systems. We need structure. There needs to be routines and there needs to be systems so that we become more in control of our mental, emotional, and physical state. So a great example of this is a morning routine. So if we got up 1 hour earlier than we normally did, okay? If you're a shift worker, you can shift this model anywhere. So if you start at midnight, you can start this at 10 o'clock, all right? So you can call it a morning routine. You can call it an individual warm-up. You can call it the golden hour. You can call it whatever you want to call it, all right? The key thing is to have the structure. So the structure here is 1 hour earlier, okay? So 1 hour earlier, the routine is your own. So my routine is I do walk, meditation, I do mindset, so I do a reflection, I do some perspective, I do some gratitude work on my walk, I come back, I do my Rise to Thrive show, I do meditation, I write my email, I then deal with all of my clients who are in my high programs, in my pinnacle program, so communication with them, and then the last half an hour is spent doing some clarity work, what's my day looking like, where am I going with it, and then the last 15 minutes is just sitting and decompressing, ready to go into family mode for an hour. So everyone's routine is different, and that's what we try and teach you when we go into depth on this, right? But just so you understand, that routine is your own. Now, the system to make this work, okay, there's a couple of things. So we would have an alarm. So take snooze off your alarms. So many people press snooze and I'm like, oh, I just want to stay in bed. Dude, when you're dead, you will sleep forever. Okay, when you are dead, you will sleep forever. When you're alive, let's get out there. Let's start preparing ourselves and warming ourselves up for the day. Okay, so alarms are really, really key. A system is also writing down everything you're going to do at the very start. I don't do that anymore because I've been doing this for like years. But anybody that's starting, you write down, this is what I'm going to do from 5 to 5:15. This is what I'm going to do from 5:15 to 5:30. This is what I'm going to do from 5:30 to 5:40. So what you have is a checklist, and you can just come in and go, yeah, tick, tick, tick. Great. You can even set alarms just to remind you. Another thing is having accountability to say that you've done your morning routine. So we have that in our Elite Brotherhood. Every single morning, Monday to Friday, between 5 and 9, people have to put up their morning accountability. That's the system. That's what makes it work. That's what connects the mindset to the action. It's what glues both of them together so that they stay consistent, right? So they stay showing up. So that's an example of SRS. Now you can have that in workouts. You know, what's your SRS for working out? What's your structure? What's the routine? What's the system to make it work? Your evening routine, date night, time with the kids, phone management. You could put it behind anything. But if you have an SRS in anything that you do, it makes it work, it makes it consistent, and you start shifting. And what happens over the process of time is that people start going, man, I feel more in control. Instead of being a shotgun approach to life, I feel more in control. And those 3 key words are word dopamine to go right. Because I've got structure, man, I've got this routine, and I've got system, everything's in line. All the dots. Does that make sense to everybody? I hope so. Okay, the second one is the 4 C's. Okay, the 4 C's. So the 4 C's are, in more detail, consistency of action. Now, consistency of action is key. The reason that people aren't consistent is because they try to do too much too soon. And when you have too much too soon, you're trying to juggle or spin too many plates. So you can't do all of that at once. But if we just focus on one plate spinning, you could concentrate on that one thing doing really, really, really well. And one thing I say to people, and one thing that we're doing with all of our clients, with the hundreds of lads that we've got, is building up to 2023 is focusing on less. So I don't want you to think about 3 things you could achieve over a quarter. When you think about 1 and being so good at that thing, at the end of the quarter, you are absolutely gold standard at that one thing that you've dedicated your life to. And then on the second quarter, we go all in on one thing again, a new thing, instead of trying to juggle too much. And that allows consistency to really break through, because all of your energy, time, and focus is focused on that one thing you're trying to achieve, right? So consistency is the first one. Second one, which frustrates the majority of men that I've worked with, is control. Control of your time, control of your energy, and control of your focus. Again, if there's too many plates, you cannot properly focus your time, your energy, and your focus right across the board. But if there is just one plate, you can focus all of that time, that energy and focus you dedicate to on that. Does that make sense? So if I said to you, I want you to really build up your running in the first quarter. I want you to make sure that you can do 150 miles in the first 3 months of the year. That's where all your time, your energy and focus is in. But if I said, I want you to do 150 miles, then I want you to work on building your legs, and I want you to work on your nutrition, and I want you to work on your mobility, and I want you to keep a journal of your running. You're like, what on earth? Too much, too soon. Somebody could do that who has been in the Elite Brotherhood a year because they're a little bit more conditioned mentally, emotionally, physically, okay? And then suddenly you're achieving much more. Third C is clarity. People don't know where they're going. What's the vision? Where am I going? What's the direction? And you need clarity of that. So when I say, where are you going? What's the plan? What's the mission? What's the vision? You should be able to say to me, this is what I want to achieve. This is the time frame that I want to achieve it. And this is how I'm going to do it. That is a really great place to wake up, because if you have a bad day, you can always come back to that. You can always go, Well, this one bad day is not going to affect the next 3 months or the next month. Okay, it's just a bad day, but this is still the mission. This is still the outcome, right? Makes sense? And then the last C, commitment. You make a contract with yourself that you're going to show up, that you are going to be the next level, that you are going to be this dude here, that you're not going to drink anymore, or you're going to cut down your drinking, you're going to cut down your moaning and your complaining, you're going to cut down your excuses. When you make a contract with yourself, that's exactly what you're doing. Okay, makes sense? So when you work on you and you build you, the SRS and the 4 Cs link together. We're trying to build the 4 Cs into our SRS. Okay, sorry about all the mnemonics, but it helps it. It saves me having to say it the whole time. This should become part of this. And then the last part of that is knowing your key priorities. When people say they don't have time to work out to me, it's like there's 168 hours in a week, right? 168 hours in a week. You could train 3 times a week for 20 minutes for the rest of your life, and it's going to change the way you live your life. It's going to change the way your body looks, your mind works, and your emotions. You have 1 hour in your week to train, 3 20-minute sessions. There's no way, there's no 2 ways about it. You can find that. I've worked with some of the busiest guys out there, like in business. And if they can find it and I can help them find it, then you can find it. Does that make sense to you guys? You can definitely find it. It's just laziness, it's mentality. All right. So that's you. So we built you. Okay. That's how we're going to build you. Then we're going to build what's called non-negotiables. Now, non-negotiables are absolutely key. All right. They become your DNA, deep rooted seeding of your SRS and your 4 Cs. So when we start getting that, we have to look at what negotiables. So non-negotiables for me, okay, are the morning routine. No matter how I'm feeling, no matter how wet or cold it is, no matter how dark it is, no matter if I get in at 2 o'clock in the morning, Monday to Friday, I'm up at 4:15 regardless. And that builds your discipline muscle. It builds your muscle, it builds your control muscle, it builds your clarity muscle, and it builds your commitment muscle, right? It's making sure that everything you do or key attributes you do become your blood. It becomes automated. Just like when you brush in the morning and at night, that's non-negotiable, right? You don't negotiate on brushing your teeth. Okay, you don't negotiate on brushing your teeth. Okay, so what ends up happening if you didn't brush your teeth, you're walking around with no teeth or black teeth. So you have to make sure that you show up and actually do your teeth. So what happens if you don't work out? Well, you're going to get fat, you're going to be miserable, and you might lose 10 years of your life. Okay, is that non-negotiable? Well, it's non-negotiable to make sure that I'm showing up for my health. So that doesn't happen, right? It's important, it's embedding. So when we do this at the very start, just choose 1 thing or 2 things. And as you progress through your journey, then you add non-negotiables like phone management. Like non-negotiable is making sure I don't have my phone on me. If I'm spending time with the kids, I don't have my phone on me. The phone then goes in the office. If I'm on a date night, the phone stays in the office. There's at least 1 date night a week where we sit down and we have a takeaway, or one of us makes a meal, or one of us does something, and we just have that time. These are things that are non-negotiable that help you lead yourself. Does that make sense to everyone before I move on? Cool. All right. So your surroundings. Surroundings are important. Absolutely key. All right. So the people that we hang around with play a huge part. When I look at the Elite Brotherhood and I go in there, I am inspired by what I see. The in there inspire me. When people say to me, it's like lads that are showing up, lads that are putting the work in. Okay, when you're around that, it inspires you, right? When you're around people going, why are you working out all the time? Why aren't you coming to anymore? What you'll end up doing is leaving people behind. As you build you, you'll leave people behind because they will not understand. And they don't understand because they don't want to change. And when you leave them behind, they have to confront their own self, and they don't like that. So the only way that they can deal with that is negative or spiteful. And that ends up happening with family as well. You know, it doesn't mean that you can tolerate that. Okay. Yeah, I can't do anything about the breaking up, guys. I apologize. The doing internet works here, so I apologize. Hopefully it does catch back up for you. There's nothing I can do here, guys, but thank you for the heads up. The environment that you're in is absolutely key. So if you're in a workplace or a work office or a job, and you don't like it, then do something about it. Go and find another job. I was on Thursday night on the Man Coach Facebook page talking to Pamela, and she gave an ABC of how to get out of that job and move on and move to the next job. Okay. So there's always a solution. There's always a way to get away from people that are negative, people that are bringing you down, but making sure you're around people. If your wife is negative, then tell her, communicate, let her understand. Say, look, I'm trying to make positive changes for my life and for you. I just need that support. And sometimes it means having a very, very difficult conversation, because honestly, when you change, the people around you change. I've witnessed it for the last 6 years. I've seen friends come and friends go. And you just realize that you want to be around people that are above you, and you're at the bottom of the ladder, and you're looking at these guys and going, this is what I want to be. So I'm going to follow this guy. I want to be around this guy. This guy inspires me. This is how I want to live my life. Or this guy's going to get me to the place that I want to be. So I look at people and I start following them, and they inspire me. So it's people that inspire other people. That's the type of person you would be around, right? Be around those environments, get to those places, be involved in those situations that they're in. Because when you're around that person, man, it is like rocket fuel for your development, okay? So manage your surroundings. And I'm not saying that's going to happen overnight, guys. That's something that happens through the process, right? So vision's important. So the most important thing that we are teaching the lads in the group right now is this. Okay, it's all about when the first week happens of the brand new quarter. So when it happens on that brand new quarter, okay, week 1, what's the plan? Because if you get to week 1 and your pants are down and you haven't planned, that does not set the tone for the year. That does not set the tone for your planning quarter. That does not set the tone to achieve. That is not the act of a leader. Okay, so we need to know what is happening on that first week. Now, I've got a focus session with all of my guys next Thursday. In 10 days, and they're all going to be going away planning that first 28 days. That is absolutely key. It's priceless. Where am I going to be at the end of these 28 days in my 4 pillars? My health, my relationships, my personal development, and my business. What are those outcomes that I want to achieve? And we're going to have headlines about where we want to be by the end of the quarter. Remember what I said, just one headline per pillar. So we're not trying to spin lots of different plates. We're just going to spin one plate per pillar. So it's specific. So for my health, for my business, for my career, for my personal development, for my relationships, just one thing. And we're going to have a headline. We're going to have in the distance, a thing that we want to achieve at where we want to be in the first 6 months and where we want to be in a year. All back right immediately in front of us. So we go into the new year and I go, right, that's what I want. That's what I want to achieve in 12 months. And it's going all the way, man. Like, honestly, it's like all the way over there. Like, they're the things I want to achieve. But this is where I'm at. So all I'm doing when you do map reading, for a year, that's great. This is my first checkpoint here. I'm just going to walk to this. Great. That's 1 week done. That's another week done. Yep, that's another week done. So the process moves us further away from this, all of this individual here where we're not leading ourselves, and it's moving us towards this, because through the process, we've got a mission / vision, 4 C's, emotional connection, we've got structure, routine, and systems, and we've got resilience. And we're moving ourselves closer to here. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, cool. So there's obviously loads to take on board there, right? And like I promised, this wouldn't go on and on and on. in terms of the training. So I wanted to be just direct and straight to the point in terms of what we're doing here and how we're going to move forwards. This is just skimming the surface. Underneath all of this, there is a ton of hard work. There is a ton of hard work. There is a ton of ups and downs. There is a ton of failure. There is a ton of winning. There is a ton of resilience. And that's what it takes, right? That's what it takes to win. So, like I mentioned at the very start, this really is for anyone that is not already working with us. So we put together what we consider to be the very best offer that we've put out since we've started this, okay? And that is an opportunity to join us in our world from January for 6 months, okay? So you're gonna work with us from January right through to June, doing 3 programs. So on January the 9th, you will start our new look Elite 28-day program. You will then go straight onto our Elite 90 program in February. And then when you finish those 2, you'll spend 2 months in our Elite Brotherhood, embedding everything you've learned through our community. Now, the whole time you're with us, you'll be in our Elite Brotherhood anyway, okay? So you'll be part of the process, you'll be part of all of our trainings, you'll be part of the whole system, okay? And there's a couple of bonuses that make this probably the best training or the best offer that we put out there. You're going to join us immediately, okay? So if you apply for this and you fancy this and you're like, man, I want this challenge, you will start next week. So you will get 2 bonus months, right? So we're going to throw you in and you're going to join all of our pre-Christmas and New Year training, okay? You're going to join all of our accountability systems. You're going to have access to all of our programs that are in there. Everything that's happening in there, you're going to get access to, okay? You'll also get a free ticket to our Rise to Thrive seminar, which is in Aston Villa Stadium in a couple of weeks. And you'll also get a group introductory chat with me. So I'm going to have a coaching session with all of those that jump on board of how to manage and plan yourself for the rest of the year, okay? So it would be this, but in much more detail so that you can go away and make sure that you are planning for the start of the year. So by the time it comes to you starting in January, officially for your program, you are already going to be way into your journey. You're going to have that massive advantage to do that, okay? So in terms of the programs, when you start with us from January, there are weekly Zoom focus calls right throughout the first 4 months. You'll see me every single week, okay? Every single week where I'll be doing coaching sessions. Each of the programs has weekly modules, each designed to go into much more detail than what's happening here, okay? That then allows you to follow the process. There is accountability, there is support, there are meetups, there are online Zoom seminars where we do every 2 weeks with our guys. There are self-assessments. There is an abundance of opportunity if you're a guy and you're in this situation and you want to be this dude here, okay? So what I'm going to do is put the link in the comments. You can copy and paste it and stick it somewhere so you can do some reading. There's a payment plan in there to make it a lot more affordable. We've also knocked £600 off the program, okay? So £600 off the program as well, because we just want to make a really good offer for people to start the new year. It's been a tough 3 years. It's been a tough 3 years. And as much as I say that the new year is just another quarter, for many people in their head, it's an opportunity for them to do something about the way that they're living their lives, about becoming the leader of their lives. We are only looking for guys that are committed, all right? So please understand that if you're coming on this, be prepared to work. Be prepared to put yourself through the mill. Be prepared to show up, okay? Because we're only looking for ambitious guys that are ready to show up. I'm not looking for dividers, excuse makers. I want guys that are going to lead themselves so they can lead their wives, lead their children, lead their career with barriers, and build their health mentally, emotionally, and physically. All right? Does that make sense? The link, I put the link. It's already on Facebook there. The link is in the webinar chat. So I've got 5 minutes, guys, where I can answer questions of 5-10 minutes if anyone has any questions about anything. So we put this out tomorrow, so next week. So this will give you, we put a cap at 15 at this, guys. All right, so there's 15 places. After that, we're going to shut it down. So don't want to take on too many too soon, because we just like to integrate in those numbers to make sure there's not too many people. Okay, so any questions? I'm here for you if you do have anything on what I've spoken about. $15 places on here. It's an application process as well, guys. The application will be on the brochure that I've put up. Okay, so I'm just going to put it up there again. So I can hang fire if you have any queries. I don't know anyone, Rob, and I remember we had plenty of conversations, Rob, even to the point where you come down to me, we spent a day together. So I'm not quite sure why you felt like that, and I apologize if you did. What, just click the link on Facebook? Yes, Richard, click the link on Facebook. Cool. All right. There doesn't seem to be any questions. So guys, I've got to go and get ready for Remembrance Sunday. So have an amazing day. If you're coming to join us, I look forward to seeing you and catching you up on the application form. Thank you for taking the time to come out here in the morning, and I will catch up with you soon, guys. Take care.